Many people mistake a strong mindset for being emotionless or tough. It isn't. A strong mindset is flexibility. It is the ability to see a situation for what it is, feel the pressure, and decide how to respond rather than just reacting. The growth versus fixed mindset. You should introduce Carol Dweck's concept. A fixed mindset says, I am who I am. A growth mindset says, I am who I build. The choice to make every morning is you don't just wake up with a mindset, you construct one. The person you talk to the most is yourself. If you had a friend who talked to you the way you talk to yourself, would you keep them around? Stop saying, I am a failure. Start saying, I failed at this task. One is an identity, the other is an event. The power of yet. This is a linguistic hack. I don't know how to do this yet. It opens a door that I can't slam shut. You cannot build a temple in a swamp. Your mindset is heavily influenced by what you consume. If your feed is full of outrage and comparison, your mindset will be anxious. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Seek fountains, people who pour into you, and avoid drains. You cannot separate the mind from the machine. Exercise isn't just for muscles, it's for dopamine and serotonin. A strong body sends signals to the brain that we are capable. Most weak mindset moments happen when we are exhausted. The callus effect. A strong mindset is built through voluntary hardship. Doing the dishes when you're tired, taking a cold shower, or waking up 5 minutes earlier. These small acts prove to your brain that you are the boss, not your feelings. Stress is just energy. Use it as fuel rather than a weight. The long game of discipline over motivation. Motivation is a feeling. Discipline is a system. Feelings are unreliable. The 40% rule. When your mind tells you that you're done, you're usually only at 40% of your actual capacity. Don't just focus on the mountaintop. Focus on the next step. The locus of control. Reclaiming your power. In psychology, there is a concept called the locus of control. People with an external locus believe life happens to them. They blame the economy, their boss, their upbringing, or bad luck for their current state. This is the hallmark of a weak mindset because it renders you a victim. A strong mindset is built on an internal locus of control. This is the radical belief that while you cannot control what happens to you, you have 100% authority over how you respond. Think of a poker player. They don't choose the cards they are dealt. That's luck. But the professional wins over the long term because they play their hand better than the amateur. To build a strong mindset, you must stop complaining about the cards. You must become obsessed with how you play the hand. Ask yourself, what is the one thing in this mess that I can control? Usually it's your effort and your attitude. The art of cognitive reframing. Mental strength isn't about being positive all the time. That's actually dangerous. It's about reframing. This is the ability to change the meaning of an event. Imagine you lose your job. The weak frame is that I'm a failure. I'll never find another job. This is the end. While the strong frame is, this is an aggressive push toward a career path I was too scared to pursue while I was comfortable. This is a test of my resourcefulness. Nothing has changed about the event itself. The job is still gone, but the frame determines whether you sit on the couch in despair or spend 10 hours networking. We don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. If you want to change your life, you have to change the lens through which you view your obstacles. An obstacle isn't a wall, it's a hurdle. It's meant to be cleared, and the act of clearing it makes your legs stronger for the next one. There is a concept used by Navy SEALs called the 40% rule. It states that when your mind is telling you that you are finished, that you are physically and mentally exhausted and cannot go another inch, you are actually only at about 40% of your true capacity. The remaining 60% is a governor, like the device on a car engine that limits its top speed. Your brain implements this governor to keep you safe and comfortable. A strong mindset is the ability to recognize when your brain is lying to you. When you feel that wall in your workout, your business, or in your relationships, that is the moment the training actually begins. Everything before the wall was just the warm-up. Mental toughness is forged in that 60% gap between where your brain wants to quit and where your body is actually capable of failing. You don't build a strong mindset by doing what is easy. You build it by staying in the discomfort zone just a few minutes longer than you want to. Stoic detachment and protection. Finally, we must discuss emotional detachment. A strong mindset is not a reactive mindset. If someone can make you angry with a single comment, they own you.
You are their puppet. To be truly strong, you must develop a buffer between the stimulus, what happens, and your response. This is the core of Stoic philosophy. You learn to observe your emotions as if they were clouds passing in the sky. You feel the anger, you feel the hurt, but you don't become the anger. You say, I am experiencing a feeling of frustration, rather than I am frustrated. This tiny linguistic shift creates space for logic to step in. A strong mind is a quiet mind. It's a fortress that can observe the chaos outside without letting it through the gates. The shadow of the ego, overcoming the fear of failure. We have arrived at the single greatest barrier to a strong mindset, the fear of failure. If you look closely at your life, you'll realize that it isn't failure you are afraid of. It's the meaning you attach to it. To a weak mindset, failure is a verdict. It's a judge banging a gavel and saying you aren't good enough. But to a strong mindset, failure is nothing more than data. It is feedback. It is the universe telling you, not this way, try that way. The anatomy of the fear. Why does failure hurt so much? Because we tie our ego to our results. We think, if my business fails, I am a failure. If I get rejected, I am unlovable. To build a mindset of steel, you must surgically detach your self-worth from your outcomes. Think of a scientist in a lab. If they run an experiment and it doesn't work, do they go home and cry? Do they give up on science? No. They write down the result, adjust the variables, and start the next trial. They needed that failure to understand the truth. Your life is the laboratory. Every no, every setback, and every mistake is just a data point that is narrowing your path toward success. The fear of failure convinces you that the safest place to be is on the sidelines. It whispers that if you never try, you can never lose. But here is the hard truth. Inaction is the most certain form of failure. When you stay in your comfort zone to avoid the sting of a mistake, you are actively choosing the failure of stagnation. You are failing by default. A strong mindset recognizes that the pain of discipline and the sting of a temporary setback are far lighter than the soul-crushing weight of regret. Regret is the only failure you cannot recover from. Imagine for a moment 2 versions of yourself 10 years from now. The first version stayed exactly where you are today. They listened to the fear of failure. They stayed in the comfort trap. They allowed their internal critic to dictate their worth. They waited for motivation to strike, and when it didn't, they stayed on the couch. That version of you is full of what-ifs and the bitter taste of potential left on the table. Now imagine the second version. This version decided, starting today, to build a fortress in their mind. They didn't do it perfectly. They stumbled, they got rejected, and they failed often, but they never stopped moving. They took the data from their mistakes and used it to build a ladder. They silenced the critic and replaced it with a coach. That version of you is standing on a mountain of experience, possessing a peace that the world cannot shake. Which one of those versions of yourself are you going to feed today? The video is about to end. The screen will go black, and you'll be tempted to click on something else, a distraction, a joke, something to numb the realization that your life is your responsibility. Don't let this be just another video you watched. Knowledge without action is just a sophisticated way of wasting time. A strong mindset is built in the moments when no one is watching. It's built when you wake up and your body says stay, but your mind says get up. It's built when you're tired, when you're bored, and when you're scared. I want you to do one thing immediately after this ends. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now. Take one small action that proves you are the master of your mind. Send that email you've been avoiding. Do 20 push-ups. Clear the clutter off your desk. Forgive someone who doesn't deserve it, just to free your own mind from the burden. Building a strong mindset is the hardest work you'll ever do. It is a war that never truly ends because the ego never stops trying to reclaim its territory. But I promise you this, on the other side of that discipline, on the other side of that fear, is a version of yourself that you haven't even met yet. A version that is resilient, unshakable, and truly free. You have the blueprint. You have the tools. Now go out there and build. Thank you for staying with me on this journey. If this message moved you, share it with someone who is struggling to find their strength. Subscribe to stay on this path with us. Remember, your mindset is your reality. Make it a strong one. I'll see you in the next one.